In this video, we uncover the chilling case of Rachel Siani, a young college student whose night out ended in tragedy. What began as a carefree evening at a popular nightclub turned into a mystery filled with shocking twists, betrayal, and devastating consequences. Who was responsible? And how did a night of fun take such a dark turn? Stay with us as we dive deep into the heartbreaking story of Rachel Siani. Alan Andrews, who lived in Burlington County, New Jersey, was riding his ATV on April 1st, 2000, while the sun was shining. After a week of rain, the clouds finally parted, as if by nature's will, letting bright, warm sunshine into the town. There was no way Alan could pass up this chance to ride out of town since he loves extreme driving so much. Alan slowed down for a second as he drove by the New Jersey Turnpike Bridge. All of a sudden, he stopped when he saw something strange lying on the ground. It was a big thing. He felt his heart beat a little faster because of the sudden thrill. Alan turned off the ATV's engine, got off, and slowly walked toward the thing that caught his eye. What he saw a moment later caught him off guard. A woman was there, and it was clear that no one could help her. Not only did this surprise him, but it also made his heart beat faster than ever. What was she? How did she get here? He had a lot of thoughts going through his mind, but one made him sweat the most. What should he do now? The moment Alan could calm down, he called the police to say he had found a woman's body and told them where they needed to go. The police had to figure out if what happened was an accident, a planned jump off a bridge, or a crime. While police and an ambulance did arrive, it was clear that medical help would no longer be useful. The body had been there for at least 24 hours based on how the victim looked and how many bugs were around it. From what I could tell, all of the injuries were caused by falling from a height. It was thought that the victim was between the ages of 20 and 30. A white sweatshirt and jeans were on her. She didn't have any shoes on or near her body. The investigators were interested in her because she only had white socks on, and those socks looked very clean. They might have been in that kind of state if, say, the woman had driven up in her car, stopped, jumped off the bridge, and taken off her shoes. But there was no abandoned car on or near the bridge, which made the case even more strange. The police began to think that what they saw might not be what it seemed at first. Forensics were called to look at the body, and the victim had to be identified right away because she didn't have any identification with her. The police shared a description of her jewelry and clothes. The necklace with the butterfly on it that she wore stood out the most. Soon after, detectives got a call from a man who said he was the victim's ex-boyfriend. He was sure that he knew the pendant's owner and saddened to say that the person who had died was Rachel Siani, 21. When the police first started their investigation, they thought Rachel had chosen to jump off the bridge herself, but her family strongly disagreed with this idea. They told the police that Rachel was happy, did well in school, and had no reason to do something so desperate. Their words were backed up by the fact that she was always happy and loved what she did. But more evidence backed up what her family and friends were afraid of. Investigators from the police found dry, dark red spots on the bridge above where the body was found. It was found to be Rachel's blood after forensic tests. This evidence made it very clear that she did not want to make the fatal jump. Rachel must have been hurt before she fell because there was blood on the bridge. She also didn't explain how she got on the bridge, which was over a busy highway. The report from the forensic experts completely disproved the idea of a voluntary jump, making it impossible to believe. A thorough investigation showed that Rachel's broken blood vessels in her eyes and other parts of her face showed that these injuries happened before she died in the fall. Most of the time, these signs mean that someone has been strangled. But after carefully looking at the nature of Rachel's internal injuries, the forensic expert came to the conclusion that she was still alive at the time of the actual fall. This meant that her last hours were filled with terrible pain. At this point, the police had to figure out who could have done something so cruel to kill her. Rachel went to college in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, 30 miles from where her body was found. She studied psychology there. Police went to the college to try to get information that might help them figure out what was going on and find clues to this dark mystery. Rachel was friendly and attentive, according to her classmates. She didn't have any problems with anyone, and she did well in school, according to everyone who knew her. Still, the the trip to the college wasn't for nothing. A survey of students and teachers by the investigators showed an interesting fact that not even Rachel's closest friends knew about before. There was a fee to attend the college. Rachel did not come from a rich family. She worked to pay for college and her daily life, which shows how strong and independent she was. No one knew for sure how she was making the money until the investigation began. Unexpectedly, the truth came out. In order to pay for school and make money, Rachel worked as a dancer in a men's club. The place where she played was called Divas. The place where her body was found was exactly 3 miles away from the club. The family had mixed feelings when they learned what Rachel was up to. On the one hand, they didn't like the work. They did, however, see Rachel as an adult who could make her own decisions. The police went to the Divas Club to talk to the workers there. Everyone here, like they did in college, said Rachel was a quiet girl who never caused trouble. At the club, her job was to put on shows several times a week under the name Foxy Roxy. A cook was laid off about a month ago, and one of Rachel's co-workers talked about it. This layoff had nothing to do with Rachel. A co-worker, on the other hand, said that the cook liked Rachel, even though Rachel wasn't interested in him. Maybe it was the fact that she showed sympathy for him without reciprocating that made him hold a grudge against her. The man's personal information was given to the police, who looked it over carefully and found that he had nothing to do with the case. The investigation showed that he had moved to a different city after losing his job and had a good reason for not being there. Rachel's car, which had been parked outside the club the whole time, was looked at in great detail. Forensic investigators carefully looked at every part of its inside and outside, but they didn't find anything suspicious or point to a crime. Still, the detectives knew that Rachel's work at the club, where dozens of men met every day, needed a more in-depth investigation. In this club, the girls were only dancing and weren't doing any other work for money. A police report said that Rachel might have had a disagreement with someone in the club, which could have been the reason why things went wrong. Detectives went back to the club to find out everything they could about the case. There, they looked through all the staff files again, hoping to find something they missed the first time. Their plan was to talk to the club's staff and regulars in depth to find out as much as they could about Rachel's interactions and relationships with the guests. During the second visit, the detectives had a chance to talk to one of Rachel's co-workers, who gave them very interesting information that helped them understand the case better. Rebecca said that among the people who came to the club, there was one regular customer, a very wealthy man, who always left big tips. This rich man liked Rachel a lot and paid extra attention to her. He would pay her a lot of money to just hang out with him at a bar during the day. Besides that, he always gave her expensive gifts. All of the club staff said that this relationship was only friendly. Rachel did not have a close relationship with this man. But the most important part of Rebecca's story was that Rachel was last seen with this client. It was March 29th night, just 3 days before her body was found under the bridge. The club where they worked had already closed at 2:30. Someone very drunk was desperately knocking on the doors of the business while Rebecca and Rachel were sitting in their car in the club's parking lot. A police officer who was walking around the area heard the noise and went to see what was going around. There was no need to hold the man, because the club manager told the police officer that they knew him and everything was okay. The drunk person who tried to break into the club after hours was a loyal, kind, and well-liked regular customer that the club's management clearly did not want to lose. It was known that he had great tips. When Rachel saw that it was him, she ran straight to the entrance where the scene took place, hoping to solve the problem with as few problems as possible. She offered to help and said she would walk him to the hotel because she thought the argument could turn into something more. This hotel wasn't just part of the building that held the club, it was also a safe place for people who had too much to drink or do after a night of fun. The mysterious, kind customer turned out to be John Denofa, who is 35 years old. It seems that he often stayed the night at the club's hotel because he was too drunk to drive. Rachel said she would walk John to the hotel, but she was never seen again, which made the police suspicious. That night, they talked to the hotel receptionist, who confirmed that he had seen Rachel and John Denofa walk up the stairs to his room on the second floor. The main suspect in this complicated case turned out to be Denofa. To make sure they didn't miss any important details, the police decided to look more closely at his life before they called him in to explain something. They quickly learned that the man was not only a successful businessman, but also a man with a great reputation who was highly regarded by everyone. Besides that, he was married to a woman that investigators thought had a dark and strange relationship with him. The investigation showed that his wife took him to the club a lot, and, most surprisingly, didn't mind when he stayed the night at the hotel once in a while. It looked like this level of tolerance wasn't normal in their marriage. One night when he had had too much to drink, his wife could come get him herself, which was a very kind and understanding thing to do. When investigators told John about the upcoming interview and what they wanted to talk to him about, he seemed like a man who was very sad about Rachel's death. He must have been deeply hurt by her death, and it seemed to have left an indelible mark on his soul. With unwavering calm, he categorically denied having anything to do with what happened. He said that Rachel did walk with him to the hotel door on that fatal night, but that's where their paths split. She didn't go with him to the room and didn't even go into the building. John told the police that he went straight to his room by himself while Rachel said goodbye and then left. This story was very different from what the hotel receptionist said that night. The front desk worker was sure he had seen Rachel and John go up to his room together. The front desk worker not only refused to change his answer, but he also said that he did not see Rachel leave the hotel. The front desk worker also remembered that John didn't go downstairs to check out of the hotel until about 20 to 30 minutes after Rachel and John left through the room door. In the early hours of the morning, John smelled like either shampoo or soap. It had been 5 days since the crime when the police came to search the room where John DeNova was staying. Because the room was cleaned so thoroughly several times, the police were not able to find any signs of a crime there. There didn't seem to be any room for anything bad in that room because it was so clean. But the room itself looked clean only on the inside. They saw a dark stain that was quite big on the sidewalk below his window. The fact that it was black didn't make it stand out at first. But when a police officer carefully ran a white napkin over it, it turned bloody red all of a sudden. As soon as possible, carefully cut pieces of the stain were taken and sent to be looked at. While DeNova was checking into the hotel, he put down the registration number of his car, a red Dodge pickup truck that made him look cool and important. In order to get from the hotel to where the body was found, you had to go through a toll booth. Luckily, this booth had CCTV cameras that could answer many questions. It wouldn't have taken more than 5 minutes to get from the hotel to where Rachel's body was found. The police knew that DeNova had checked out of the hotel around 3 a.m. The toll booth's CCTV footage was taken by police who were hoping to find a clue in the blank frames. They were successful in what they did. They watched video at 3:13 a.m. and saw a red Dodge pickup truck speed by with something in the back that wasn't immediately clear. They knew it was a body, though. The red pickup truck was going straight to the place where Rachel's body was found. The same pickup truck showed up again in the video 27 minutes later at 3:40 a.m., but this time it was going backwards with its body empty. With the CCTV footage, other evidence, and witness statements, the police were able to arrest John DeNova and charge him with several crimes. Even though investigators had proof, he denied that he was guilty. The quality of the camera footage wasn't good enough to make out the license plate number or the face of the man behind the wheel. This gave DeNova a small chance that he could avoid the harsh punishment that was coming his way like a stormy cloud. He wisely chose to use this to his advantage, confidently telling everyone that his story was true and that the recording wasn't even of his car. When the investigators saw that the data they had wasn't enough, they set out to get more solid evidence. As soon as they got the long-awaited warrant, forensic experts started a full investigation into his pickup truck. In the very beginning, they noticed that the pickup truck's body was very clear, like it had been cleaned very well. It was clear that DeNova had gone to great lengths to make sure the police couldn't find anything embarrassing in his car. But he was caught by one mistake. After a careful search, experienced forensic experts decided to take apart the plastic sheeting under the luggage compartment because they didn't find anything in it. They saw dark red stains that had dried out. The forensics team quickly found that the stains in DeNova's truck trunk and the one under the hotel window were made by Rachel Chan's blood. It looked like John DeNova would have to face a harsh punishment and a long time in prison. He wasn't going to give up easily, though. He tried to convince the police that he wasn't involved in what happened with Rachel by giving them a new version of what happened. He told a different story and insisted that someone else had used his pickup truck. He said that when he was too drunk to drive, club employees would take his keys away. Denofa said that someone might have made extra keys to put the blame on him and take the investigation in the wrong direction. His words sounded like he was trying very hard to explain something that couldn't be explained and to avoid being suspected. In 2002, the trial took place. Taking into account all the evidence and the report from the forensic experts, the prosecutor gave an outline of what happened that terrible night. As soon as Rachel and John Denofa went up to his hotel room, they got into a very angry argument. Denofa supposedly wanted to get close to Rachel, but she said no. In a fit of anger, he started to choke her, and she soon passed out. Denofa was so scared and panicked that he thought Rachel was dead and was sure he had to hide what he had done as soon as possible. There were too many risks and nosy people around to let Rachel out the front door. The window was the only way out. That made sense about the dark mark on the asphalt below the window. John then left the hotel, took Rachel with him in his pickup truck, and drove to the bridge. He most likely planned to throw her into the Delaware River so that no one would find her. He made a mistake, though, because it was late at night and he was in a hurry. Rachel fell to the ground instead of the water. The court found Denofa guilty after carefully looking at all the evidence, such as the time he left the hotel and the time his pickup truck was caught on camera, as well as the places where Rachel Chan's DNA was found. John Denofa was given a life sentence, Friday, November 29, 2002. He can ask for parole after 30 years. Since then, Denofa has desperately tried to appeal the court's decision, holding on to the false hope that he can be saved. Yet, his efforts have been in vain. In August 2032, he will be able to get parole for the first time. Some news sources say that Rachel's shoes could not be found by the police. That's it for today's case. If you found this story compelling, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of true crime. Until next time, stay aware, stay safe, and keep questioning the shadows.